Welcome. I'm Asa Lannon, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Innovaro. This is our series on innovation on entrepreneurs. This is the sixth section in the second part of that. And in this one, what we're really going to talk about is what happens when you're told no. Right? We've talked a little bit about getting ready before that, how to make contact, getting ready for your meeting, having meeting, dealing with issues. Now you're looking for an answer, and it's either going to be a no or a yes, hopefully, right? And what does it mean when you're told no, and what do you do about it, right? And I think you have to understand a couple things here. There are lots of reasons that you could fail at fundraising. First of all, fundraising is a numbers game, right? And I said earlier in the series that venture capitalists will see maybe 1,000 opportunities a year and maybe fund 10. All right. And what that means is that, you're going to try, you may talk to a number of venture capitalists. I can tell you in one case, we went through 14 before we found funding. In another case, we went through 16 and we never found funding, right? You're going to fail part of the time. You're going to fail, right? And that's not a bad thing, but you need to learn from it. You need to determine, does that mean you're done? Or does that mean you need to get better at what you're doing, right? There's a lot of reasons for no, and I can talk to a couple of these very specifically because I've been involved in them. One of them, we were looking for funding, and it was a great idea. We wanted to go into a particular market segment. We had a nice product. We had a prototype. We had a couple of patents that we'd applied for. We came in to look for funding. We were in our third presentation. We'd done our true dry rounds to do that, and this was a real one. And they said, you heard that they just announced that another company that's in this area that's a little ahead of you guys just got $150 million in funding to go into market growth phase. We were dead. We were done. That was it. There was a 900-pound gorilla in our market, and the ability to catch up, the ability to go after them was really pretty well dead, right? So it didn't happen. In another one, we missed the stampede. And yes, this is a stampede of ducks. Stampedes happen in lots of things. And I mentioned to you that venture firms move in groups into areas that they think are going to be hot, that they think are going to be opportunistic. And we see that, every time around, it's a new area that comes up. Everybody wants to get an investment placed in it. And you get there a little bit afterwards, and everybody's already got their investment done. They just got their investment done. You just missed it. It's too late. It's over with, right? You're not going to get funded, right? So sometimes they'll fund more than one bet in a particular area, but most of the time that's not really the case. Sometimes you're just too early. Again, this is an area where I have direct experience with the group I was working with. We were looking at building campus-wide computing networks using optical fiber and using standard off-the-shelf Intel processors. And everybody liked the idea, but they said, the marketplace wasn't ready for it yet. You really couldn't go out and get people to really buy it because they just weren't ready to make that big of a technological jump. And they were probably right. They were probably right. We see, processors that are out there that are multi-processors and those things now that have a lot of the characteristics. But we were at least probably 10 years ahead of where people wanted to go with that kind of stuff, right? Some cases, they just don't believe your credentials. You don't have any experience in the area. You haven't worked in it very long. You can't prove your point. They just don't believe in you. One of the other ones you can do is finish second. This could be one where, you go to a partners meeting, you make your presentation, you're in, you're out. Guess what? You're not the only one in and out probably that day. There are several others. So you can have something that really might be interesting, but there's something else ahead of you that's even more interesting. That's a bigger opportunity. You bring them a $50 million opportunity, it looks really good, it's a great opportunity, and the next person walks in with a $200 million opportunity. That's a great opportunity that looks really good. They're probably going to look at the bigger one. They're probably going to look at the bigger one. You can finish second. It's not a negative reflection on your particular opportunity. It's just where you are in this race, right? I mean, some of these things are like a beauty contest, right? The other one that we just alluded to a little bit is you're not big enough. There's just not enough, size to make it really worth their while. I know firms that don't want anything that's not going to be less than $1 billion kind of an opportunity. They don't have the bandwidth to manage them in small sizes, right? So when you get told no, a lot of them are going to give you a soft no, right? They don't want to irritate you. They're not trying to disrespect you. They may not believe. They may have already funded. There may be an 900-pound gorilla, but it's a no just the same, right? And one of the good things is that an awful lot of firms will try and tell you no early, right? They don't want to waste your time, and you don't want to waste their time, and that's okay. Right? It's even better if it happens early, right? Once you get a no, stop. If they say no, we really don't think it's for us, but then somebody said, well, why don't you follow up with some of our associates and that's kind of a soft no, and you can go talk to those people, but nothing's going to happen. You're done, right? You really are done. You're not going to go anywhere. So when you get a no, stop, and hope you get a no early enough when it is a no that you haven't spent a lot of time, because particularly early in the cycle, there are others out there for you, right? One of the ways that one of the questions that will come up a lot of times for you is all about getting traction. And getting traction is demonstrating making progress. For young companies, it's going to be how are you going to acquire customers? Who have you acquired? Where are you in development? Getting channel partners, getting initial revenue. In a lot of cases, it's not just revenue. However, getting traction is a very good way to be told no. It's a soft no in a down economy when investment is lean. And I will tell you that during some of the recessions we've had since the beginning of this millennium, there were an awful lot of firms that were told no. We're not investing in the truth is they're not investing in pre-revenue companies. And so if you've got revenue, I know a couple of firms that wanted to do a seed round for companies that already had revenue and were profitable, and they were trying to we'll give you a seed. You're looking for expansion. They're looking for seed. The terms weren't going to work. All those kinds of things. Traction can be a soft no. So pay attention to that kind of stuff, right? One of the ways to get past the soft no, or if you really are interested it's about getting traction, is to build a relationship. And what you want to do there is you want to start early to try to get feedback from your sponsor. You want to over-deliver, right? You want to keep your things visible. If you've got a high-risk program from a development standpoint or that, over-delivering, early delivery, keeping it visible is important. I can tell you we sat in one session once where people were talking about the funding they needed and what they were going to do and that they could deliver a product and it was probably going to take a year to get it ready. And one of the guys in there said a year is an eternity. What can you deliver in 90 days? And then what can you deliver in 90 days after that? And what they were looking for was how do you demonstrate progress? How do you deliver, right? Where you're building a relationship, you may know somebody else that's got a great idea. It's not your idea, it's theirs. You might want to reference other candidates, right? If you've got some credibility going and they really are looking for progress, if you reference a couple candidates and they take the call, they're probably really mean it. Report progress. Don't assume they're going to know what you're doing, right? If you've gotten traction, if you've got the first round, start working on the next round. Start building that relationship so as you get traction and show it, you're already ready to move. They're not waiting for you to do things. On a no, assume a 1% hit rate on funding, right? You're one of the 1,000 business plans that came in the door. You're one of the ones they saw, but they didn't tell you. They didn't tell you yes. They told you no. It's going to happen. When you get told no, ask for a referral. Never, ever, ever leave a meeting where you don't get funded, but asking for a referral to another capital source, right? If it is interesting, particularly if it finishes second or if it's just not in the right space for them, they're going to tell you somebody that's in that space, that's in that time, that's in that place that you ought to go talk to. And they'll often give you that warm introduction that gives you an opportunity to do that. So being told no is not the worst thing in your life. And if you're seeking venture funding, it won't be the first thing in your life, right? It'll happen, right? And get that introduction and move on from there, right? That's really all I want to say about being told no. It's going to happen. Prepare for it. Don't be upset by it. It's just something to learn from and move forward. I want to thank you very much for listening, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next section, which is all about what happens when you're told yes, and is the last in the second part of our innovation for entrepreneurs. Thank you. Goodbye.